Hello everyone, I'm Susan Lee MacDonald and welcome back to The Interview. I'm here in Guangzhou in Seoul in front of the Sejong Arts Center, ready to meet someone very special from the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra. Now, the percussion is usually something kind of in the background where you may not notice it right away, but without it, the orchestra wouldn't sound the same. We're here to meet the percussionist Raul Vergara. Join me as I go interview him.
The Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra was established in 1991 to bring classical music closer to the public. Its world-class conductor Chung Myung-whun chose Raul Vergara as an associate principal percussionist. Now, Vergara is an essential part of the orchestra, controlling the music's heartbeat through percussion. Raul Vergara is a young, rising star percussionist from Latin America, the continent of passion and soul. Born in Venezuela and raised in Chile, Vergara began playing percussion at the age of 9. He graduated from the School of Music of La Serena in Chile, and then received a scholarship to study at the prestigious Curtis Institute of Music in the U.S. After graduation, he joined the highly acclaimed Philadelphia Orchestra. After a decade of playing percussion in the U.S., he was scouted to join an orchestra in China. And on a chance trip to Korea, he was captivated by the country and earned a spot in the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra. Vergara, who is now wed to the Korean musical actress Josephine Lee, also founded the fusion ensemble Chico. Chico travels around Asia to perform, teaches music classes for young children, and donates its proceeds for helping those in need worldwide. Join me, Susan Lee MacDonald, and hear the story of percussionist Raul Vergara, a musician with Latin American passion and soul.
Raul!
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How to see you?
Great to see you too.
Yeah.
Tell me about this amazing place that we're in. Wow.
Welcome to the new Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra rehearsal hall.
I'd love to learn a little bit more about some of the percussion instruments that you use to perform with. And even though I have some idea of music, I'm going to let you, the expert, tell me all about this.
Okay, I'll just walk you through a few of the toys
Okay.
that I am usually engaged with at my job. So,
Fantastic.
have you considered ever the snare drum, for example?
Ah, yes. Well, the famous snare drum, right? You know, people use this for marching bands and for rock and roll. It's used in pretty much every kind of music, yes?
Absolutely. You mentioned marching band. Did I hear you say you have passed in marching band as well?
Well, actually, in junior high and high school, I was a drum major.
Drum major.
Yes, and I also played the flute.
Well, perhaps you can show me what you can do with a drum.
Oh, me?
Instead.
Oh, in front of a professional?
Oh,
no. Oh, really?
This is the best part, yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to totally embarrass myself. So it was something like this. Like, I think I had the hands like this, right? Hey!
Not bad. Wow.
Now let's see a real professional do this.
Well, real professional would probably don't do two hands like that because it makes it a lot harder. Normally people will play it like this if you're marching. Right.
Is this a good place to be standing, or is this too
actually,
noisy?
you need to stay right around here because it's going to be a cannon on your face.
Okay.
No, really, I'm not gonna do that. Are you kidding me? I'm just gonna be nice.
Beautiful.
It's a subsonic sound.
It sounds so rich, but you feel it in your body when someone's playing the bass drum. Now, you've used this big mallet. Does it sound really different when you use other kinds of mallets?
Try it.
Here, let me
Give me the wooden mallet.
This one? Okay.
Yeah, check it out.
So
why don't you try it yourself?
You want me to try it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Which side should I use? The belt side or this?
Try the wooden side.
The wooden side. Okay.
Sure.
So do I need to hold this a certain way?
If you like to be in contact with the instrument.
Okay, all right.
Did it miss?
Wow. Yeah, I didn't miss because the surface area is so huge. Wait, I missed right here.
I like big instruments because you can't miss
right.
the target.
You can never make a real big mistake here. So that was the awesome bass drum, and now I see something that I'd really like to learn how to play, which are the tambourines.
Right, they're so much fun.
Yeah, I'm a big karaoke fan, and I use the tambourines all the time there, so maybe you can show me how it's really done.
Okay, let's do it.
Awesome.
Okay. We have here the tambourine we use in the orchestra. This is a tambourine we use for Brazilian music. And we have a few techniques, or better call it tricks.
Okay.
For example, we usually aim to have like a clear, defined sound, jingles and head at the same time, meaning. So we could play a rhythm like. Okay, but we also have tricks like, for example, the thumb roll.
That is cool.
Right.
Just with your saliva?
Well, it's a little bit of the trick. This is actual animal skin, and it's so a little bit of saliva helps for the.
For it to kind of move along a little bit?
Grab on a little bit. Otherwise, it just slides.
I see.
Slides off.
Very cool.
Another nice trick with this, it's the so-called knee fist knee technique.
Okay.
Which is something like.
That sounds a little violent.
Yes.
Should I be prepared
careful,
for?
Careful.
Okay.
Kicks will be flying around. Let's try this one. Very precise, but my artistic decision, I can maybe change it around and try something different. Two options for the same rhythm. But let's try the same rhythm.
Okay.
Or a similar rhythm, better said, here.
And you said this is a Brazilian tambourine.
Correct.
Now, what's different between these two?
You'll hear it.
Okay.
I hope.
This makes you want to dance a little bit more.
I play the same rhythm.
Raul, it's been really an amazing time to kind of go through all of these different instruments, but I'd really like to get down to the nitty-gritty and find out more about you.
All right.
So let's go over there and start our interview.
Okay, let's have a sit.
Okay, great. All right. Raul, thank you so much for showing me all of your instruments. That was so much fun.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know, I think that I might have found a new calling.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Percussion?
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so energetic and it's very diverse. I didn't realize that it was going to be that different for each thing.
That's the best part about it. It's really hard to get bored with it because just about the time you're bored with one instrument, you can just move on to the next one.
Wow, that's so fantastic. You know, I'm curious, do you guys need anyone to work with you, an assistant?
Time to time. Yes,
really?
We might need you, we'll put you on our sub list.
Oh, alrighty.
Absolutely.
But I don't think you'll have to worry about any real competition from me. I think you're still going to be the main percussionist for the Seoul Philharmonic.
I don't have to feel threatened for a while?
No,
okay.
not for a while. So let's talk a little bit about the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra. Tell me about what it is, why you are part of this orchestra, and how long you've been here in Korea.
Okay. Well, I have been in Korea a little over 4 years, and I'm on my 5th season with the orchestra.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I came to Korea to work with the Seoul Philharmonic. At the time, I was working in China in an orchestra there, and I was invited to perform with the orchestra as a guest. And after my period here as a guest, I had a wonderful impression of Korea. And after that, I was invited to join the orchestra.
Fantastic.
And
how did that feel?
It was really great sensation to receive such a notice. Well, please, you're welcome. but at the same time it was a little difficult for me because at the time I was quite engaged in my life in China, and I was thinking of really staying there. And out of the blue, I get this opportunity to come to Korea and pack my things again and start over again. But the experience has been wonderful. As I said, I'm already in my 5th season, and I still hold true to the reasons why I came here. And very vividly, I remember, first of all, having such a wonderful conductor.
Ah, yes.
Who
yes.
You all know. His name is
Chung Myung-whun.
Correct.
Yes, he's so famous here in Korea.
It is, yeah, it is. And with everything they say about him is really true. He's just a wonderful musician, and that's very important to have as a musician in the orchestra, that your role model basically can help you grow, which is what I wanted, grow musically. So there's so much I still have to learn from him.
Wow.
And that still remains the reason, why I myself am here, and I'm sure most of my colleagues as well.
Now, is there something in particular that you remember him telling you as a conductor and as maybe a mentor that has inspired you or made you think about percussion or being part of an orchestra in a different way?
Yes, actually, when I first came, when I was as a guest, I was playing percussion, the percussion toys, but then for this one piece, I switched to sit in the timpani chair. And the timpani chair, are those big, fluffy balls, in the back of the guy just going like this, right? Well, I sat on those on those instruments, which go right direct to him, face to face. And he had a look at me and kind of looked at everybody else and says, "Oh, we have a new conductor." So, and basically what he was explaining later on is that how the timpani player in this case is usually like the second conductor.
Interesting.
So yeah, because our sound is so overpowering that it can dictate the pace of the music for all 100 people.
Wow. So
that's why it's a key role, and he liked to describe it to all the musicians as the second conductor.
Wow. For him to tell you that you're the second conductor, that must have been quite something.
Nerve-wracking. I was just like, I'm just here for a week. I was like, I haven't played a note yet, and I'm already, okay, this is a lot of stress.
Well, I'm sure that he had a lot of say in your coming here because he was impressed by how you performed that week. And you've been here for, what, 4 seasons, and now your 5th season.
Correct.
So I'm sure you're doing something right that you're here.
I hope so. I stay like that too.
Yes, definitely. So with the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra, tell me what it's like on a daily basis when you guys practice. How do you guys get together? How do you decide to pick certain kinds of pieces of music, where you're performing and such?
Right. Well, generally speaking, our day-to-day routine, it's quite different from most jobs, most people's life. They are engaged with jobs in which they know they have to be there 9 o'clock and leave at 6. But with the orchestra musicians, what we do usually here, we have concerts on a Thursday or a Friday night.
Yes.
And before those concerts, we will have rehearsals taking place in the same week. A few days before. So we may start on Monday, and we have rehearsals in the morning and afternoon. And so that's usually how we do. We have a rehearsal, all 100 people with the conductor.
So is it almost always that you have the conductor and all of the members of the orchestra for practice? Like, do people have the option to go, or do they have to come to practice?
Pretty much we don't have the option. So pretty much we have to be here. And of course there are exceptions, health reasons and things like that may come up.
I see.
But also not all the pieces require the same amount of musicians. Sometimes we often require more people
Ah.
than we have on staff, but sometimes we require less people. So, and in those cases, it allows for what we call rotation, in which if we have one or too many musicians in one section, they may be rotated out for the piece or for the concert.
I see.
You know?
But almost always they'll have the percussion. I mean, I don't know of many musical pieces that don't have some type of percussion.
Right. There's at least usually one of us there.
Yes.
Usually it's the guy sitting in the timpani. And that has to do, that is not just coincidence actually. That has a lot to do with a historical background of classical music development. If we think about it, if you count as classical music starting in the Renaissance, going through the Romantic period, Baroque, Renaissance, we're talking about 1500s, right? But then actually classical music is a direct inheritance from church music. So we're talking about medieval times. So it really goes way back, right?
I see.
And out of all the instruments, when the orchestra was created, the first percussion instrument to join the orchestra was the kettle drums or the timpani. This is why the timpanis has the highest percentage of performances in the percussion section out of everybody else.
Interesting.
Right.
Wow.
Normally you have timpanis, and then if you need more, then they add the bass drum and cymbal and snare drum and triangle and so on.
Tell me now a little bit about the idea that percussionists suffer from a lot of boredom. There's a saying that percussionists suffer from 99% boredom and 1% fear. Is that a true statement in your opinion as a percussionist?
99% boredom and how much percent?
1% fear.
1% fear. Wow. That's close to accurate.
Really?
Although I put the fear percentage quite high as well. Because think about it. Orchestra percussionists, it's true, we generally are sitting a lot, like sleeping, reading a book, watching the time, or simply counting measures. Actually, most of the time that we look like we are doing something else, we're actually counting measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3. 10 minutes go by like 200, 2, 3, 4. It's literally, we are somehow keeping up with the piece, and that's actually quite nerve-wracking.
I can imagine.
Because if you miscount, like I'm actually pretty bad at counting. I always like miscount. I am around one measure ahead or one measure late. I kind of second guess myself with the counting thing. It's quite tricky and nerve-wracking to think about, whoops, where am I? So that's when the real shaking, when this thing here really starts, and you have to play in a few. You have to play. It's like you're in a neighborhood. You're like, I recognize this area, but I don't know where I am. It's kind of like that thing.
Okay.
Like, my God, I gotta play soon. I'm not entirely sure where I am. That kills you. Kills you.
I can imagine. Now, what is one of the most important things when you're playing percussion in an orchestra? Is it this timing business and waiting and counting? What do you think is something that a percussionist absolutely must be aware of when they're in an orchestra?
This could be a very philosophical answer actually, but flat out is time. One of my old teacher used to say, you can play your note perfectly well and beautiful, but if you play it in the wrong place, it's wrong.
Right.
So the most essential thing is to be right on the pocket, as we call it, and then, of course, all the other artistic stuff like it should sound quality, beautiful. Are you blending with other instruments? Things like that.
Raul, tell me about your childhood. I know that you're from Latin America and originally from Chile. So were you born in Chile, and how did you get involved in music as a child?
Okay, well, yes, I am from Chile. My parents are Chilean, although I was born in Venezuela.
Oh.
You know, I lived there the first years of my life, and myself, with my brothers, my two other brothers, we're all born in Venezuela, and that's something that it always marked our life, you know.
And I understand that you're also a twin.
Yeah, I'm
right?
a twin as well.
Wow,
so
identical twin?
Identical twin. So I never had to worry about finding someone to play with. There was always someone to play with, someone to fight, it was always company.
Wow.
With me.
And what's your brother's name?
Juan.
Juan. So Raul and Juan.
Yeah, exactly. So that has a lot to do with this idea of like, well, they're twins. I don't want them to fight. I want them to kind of share everything. So throughout my whole life, growing up at home with my parents, we both received everything in an equal basis. The access to education, in this case, was music. My brother entered the violin, and I entered the percussion.
So tell me about the school that you went to.
Right. So the school I entered is it's called School of Music of La Serena. But I was lucky that in the 60s, a musician, a gentleman from Santiago, he got sponsorship from the President of the Republic to bring his idea of music to the masses. So he opened what was at the time the first Conservatory of Music of Chile outside of Santiago, outside of the capital. The first experiment was in our city. Luckily as well, the president of that time was born in our city. So we got very lucky. You know, our city received more attention. You know, so this school was unique at the time because what he did, he was trying to bring music at an equal basis to the education of people. So you had students there who could pay for their colegiatura, for education, and you have kids who were in the boarding school side, who were basically under scholarship.
I see.
Well, political reasons being into place in Chile in the 70s. Long story short, this school had to find ways to
support itself?
Support itself. By the time I entered, it was no longer free. It was actually, you had to pay some money. And it was not for the rich people, but it was just enough for medium-class people to be able to afford it. I was lucky to have these resources because it was the only school in my city at the time, one of the few schools, the only school in Chile who had that actually, you know, in the whole country.
Wow.
So I walked into the school in the perfect year when all these instruments have been donated.
Wow.
And I'm basically the first student who my teacher had. At the time he was 31, 32. I realized, man, he was so young that he was like pushing him. More, teach me to play the marimba, teach me to play the vibraphone, like always looking, you know, pushing him to, I was his first student in all those things. And he was like, how do I teach? So I was his first experiment, you know. So yeah, I'm still, I remember at the time I was very, I wouldn't say upset, but I would say negative about the poor education I received, how many holes my musical education had. But at the same time, I have to be only grateful because it was the only thing that was available, and I was lucky. So many people did not have that access.
That experience has led you to playing with the youth orchestra in many different cities across the world, and then you decided to go to the US to continue your education. Now, I remember hearing that you were an exchange student, is that right, in Philadelphia?
Yes.
How did you end up in Philadelphia?
Well, there was a newspaper post, it says exchange program to United States. Want to go? Apply.
Wow, so it's that simple.
It's like that. It was, the idea had been in my head for a while. It was one of those strange things that I knew was going to happen, but I didn't have evidence. I remember I was like 15 years old and I was talking to people, oh yeah, I think I'm going to go to the United States, and and study there, etc. You ask me how? No idea, because I had no money. I wasn't brilliant enough to get a music scholarship. So one day, I remember I didn't fill out this application. I remember my mother did it, because I think we had a conversation on the phone, and I think I must have been in another city, maybe on away with the orchestra playing somewhere, and she said, "Raul, there's this thing coming in the newspaper, a chance to go study abroad with a scholarship, apply." Okay, so we sent application for my brother and I, because we couldn't go alone. You know, twins, you have to, and then it turns out we both get in. Okay, great. We made a decision, we went along, and it's taken me in this 11-month trip, ended up now into a 15-year trip.
Absolutely, wow. So let me ask you now, you went to China, and what was it that motivated you to go try performing in a country that you had never been to before?
Correct. Well, at that point, I had been in the United States for about 10 years. I had made my life there, everything. But I was also coming to like a deadline. The deadline was visa. For 10 years, I developed a career. I was playing with orchestras. I was making a living out of it. My friends, everything you want. But I had this stamp in my passport saying, you have a deadline here. And at that time, I had to look for options, you know. I was not really interested in looking for other options. But then it's what happened, it's what worked out. Just as a door closed here, another door opened here. And it took me as far as China.
Wow.
And I remember that making that step, it was the most difficult decision I made in my life. And the best one. Even more so than when I went when I left my family to go to the United States.
Interesting.
Because I knew how much I was leaving. When I was 17, I was like, all right, you know, I don't have much to lose. My family's here. Things go wrong, I come back, right?
Yeah.
When I was going to China, I was already 27 years old. I was already thinking, I have so much to lose, you know? So, and I've really, this is the first time in my life I did a step in the dark. I went there really knowing nothing about what was to come. It was very scary to think. I was in the airplane, I'm like, well, I don't, you know. But as I said, it was the best decision I made in my life, going there. And I'm now in Asia for a little over 5 years. Sorry, La Cigarra.
You cannot play with this?
Well, I can try, but I don't know if it's going to be any good.
The original members of the Latin American Korean fusion ensemble Chico have gathered at a practice studio in the Gyeongnidan area of Itaewon, Seoul. The ensemble's name is a combination of Chi from Chile and Ko from Korea. Raul Vergara began the ensemble with the hope of bridging the two countries' music.
Okay, let's do it together. Kang-woong here in the guitar and Lee Young-young in the vocals. We have Jinbae, I believe he's in Los Angeles right now. And another colleague of mine, ours is Marco. He is a violin player, but he is back at home right now in Ukraine. What did you write down?
Chico's vocalist Josephine Lee is a Korean musical actress and Raul's wife.
Interesting.
Although they are in different fields, they were pulled together by their shared love of music.
미안해.
It's okay.
뮤지컬을 하다 보니까 연기도 하잖아요. 연기할 때 이런 건 좀 자연스럽지 않은 것 같아. 막 이런 걸 정말 정확하게 막 이렇게 아플 정도로 이렇게 탁 찍어내는 성격이에요. 음악을 같이 하다 보니까 그런 게 받아들여질 수도 있는 반면에 저런 건 굳이 나한테 얘기 안 해줘도 될 것 같은데 딱 집어내니까 미울 때도 있고 장단점 다 있는 것 같아요.
The members are rehearsing for a performance tonight. They are all excellent musicians, but it still takes some adjustment to create a perfectly timed, harmonized performance.
Once again. No, I didn't get it actually. How finish it?
Okay.
So how are you gonna do?
No, I'll follow him.
Me?
Follow him. Go ahead. Last time.
3 times.
They discuss each breath, each beat, and try to come together once again. Even with slight missteps, the rehearsal is filled with happy energy.
그 라울도 이제 평상시에는 이 서울시향에서 이 마에스트로 정명훈 선생님의 이 날카로운 지휘 아래서 하다 보니까 굉장히 빡빡했는지 또 치쿠하고 할 때는 굉장히 조금 더 어느 정도 느슨한 매력을 가지고 연주하기를 원하는 것 같아요. 그래서 그 짜놓은 대로 꼭 되지 않아도 그냥 친구들끼리 모여서 또 새로운 음악을 배울 수 있고 또 그러면서도 우리를 겸손하게 만드는 힘이 있는 것 같아요. 그 음악들은. 그래서 늘 그냥 어떻게 되든 행복해요. 같이 연주하면.
Late at night, the streets go quiet. Chico are setting up in a cigar bar in the Gyeongnudan area of Itaewon. Even with years of experience on stage, the members still get nervous before performing. Why do they perform at a cigar bar?
Well, the reason why that is true, we actually perform often here, and the reason, main reason I guess, is that I'm foreigner and the owner here is also foreigner, and so the foreign community is kind of small. So at the beginning, actually, it started out just somebody helping each other out. We are not living in our country, so we have to help each other out, right? And then
Itaewon is the most international neighborhood in Seoul, a place where people of all cultural backgrounds can mix together. Vergara wants to help the locals here ease their homesickness. Chico's music is comforting for all.
I'm usually perform with the orchestra, and as you know, every time we perform, we end a song or a piece, we get claps. So actually, after many years, I realized I take that for granted. People come to the orchestra, see me play, no matter what I do, they will clap at the end. Whereas here, it's different. It is especially challenging for the performer. If we want to get those claps, it's not for granted. We need to earn them.
Raul Vergara, is a percussionist who shares happiness and hope. His humility and devotion to spreading the joy of music continues to light up the world around him.
I'd really like to start talking about the Raul Vergara, not just in the orchestra,
Right.
but in the Korean society. Tell us about, first of all, your work with Chico.
Okay. Well, Chico is a band. We play Latin American music. It's composed of the words Chile and Korea, just because at the time nobody in the band had a better idea for band name. So that's how original we went.
Well, that's great. It's really catchy.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. You know, but yeah. Anyway, so we have the band, and it's been an outlet for me to, in a way, reconnect with my Latin American roots, which in a way were kind of put aside during my musical education. You know, that being strictly European classical training, right? So it's been basically a learning trip, not only for me, but for the members of the band. None of them, you know, are Latin music knowledgeable. Well, they are now, but when we started, none of us had a clue. Imagine our first concert. It was not just a concert. It was to represent Chile at a music festival organized by MOFAT, right?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
Correct. Yes. So I was booked to perform. I said, great, I'll play. But then I realized, what Chilean music am I going to play? Because all the repertoire for my instruments that I knew, it was European. That's when I had to turn into the folk repertoire. And then I realized, oh wait, this sounds funny in the, you know, by a classical percussionist. So I searched for help, you know. So my now wife, singer, she helped me. She joined the band. We recruited another percussionist. We recruited a jazz player, guitarist. You know, so at the beginning, it was kind of starting with what we could. I mean, imagine we had to sing in Spanish. Wife was a great singer, but didn't speak Spanish back then. So I remember we had to play the concert, and they're like, we need 3 more songs. And my then girlfriend, wife, she couldn't learn songs that in Spanish that quickly. She was not comfortable with that. So I had to get on stage and sing myself. So luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. But that was nerve-wracking. Imagine, I'm going to Seoul, I'm going to Busan, I'm going to Jeonju, playing in these concert halls, and I have to. I'm not a singer, I'm not a trained singer, but I know I had to do it. It had to be done, and I had to step up to it. And fortunately, you know, there's no public evidence of that. Again.
So no video recordings of that, but we do have other things.
I burned them.
We do have other kinds of videos with you guys performing.
I believe music can transform people's lives. And I know that from personal experience, and I'm sure many of my colleagues and people around the world can attest for that. Even though I know people who did not continue music as a life earnings, you know, the impact that being in an environment in which music was present, it rescued them in some cases of their reality and brought them light onto new reality, you know. And so I think music is one of those indispensable things in people's lives.
Raul, changing gears a little bit, you are involved in not only your music work, but in charity work as well. And I'd like for you to tell me a little bit more about the art of giving. Now, you're the director of the Art of Giving, as well as the Latin American Center of Korea that you guys started. What is the Art of Giving, and how could someone possibly get involved?
Right, basically the Art of Giving is an engine or platform for musicians or artists to donate their talent to the community. So basically it's a way you can do to make charity work, but it's not charity in terms of just giving, giving your spare change. It's more like donating what I am priced for. For example, if you ask me to play a concert, my fee is quite high because of the reputation, the organization that I belong to, and my training. But if you ask me to help you push your car, I'll do that for free. I'll help you push your car. So I was thinking, why not use my talent to share with the community? And this is with my co-founding friends that we share the same approach. And so this is how we have taken our music, whether it is Latin, Korean music, or whether it is kind of pop sounding music. We'll play in hospitals or children homes or anywhere.
With Art of Giving, you also did a really special event a year or two ago, kind of like a bazaar of sorts. Tell me about that.
I think this was the beginning of it all. We did a bazaar event. I was having coffee with a friend of mine. I had organized a big event for the Chilean embassy back then, and then we were having coffee one day, and her mother is going through a tough times, health. And myself, I'm saying I'm still energized about how exciting it was to do this event, and we filled the place, and so I was thinking, why don't we do this? Charity events in which we can use our talent. She and her friends, they were painters, amateur painters. We had amateur musicians, professional musicians. Everybody joined that day to basically we raised funds. It was about $7,000 more or less that we raised, and we donated it to different organizations.
So where did you donate some of that money?
We divided it. We shared it with 4 different organizations. 2 of those organizations were in Korea. One of them was called Magdalena's House, which is located in Yongsan, and they basically serve as a home, as a nurturing environment to women who are rehabilitated or are being currently rehabilitated, that were part of this sex industry.
I see.
Here in Korea, you may have heard cases of women, young women that were from the countryside that came to the city looking for better, better opportunities, and somehow they ended up doing things that later they would regret. So. And
so your funds really helped to rehabilitate them.
Exactly. Yeah. They have their own programs, so we basically felt that the money was what they needed to go along with the programs they have. And the other organization we donated money to, it was it's called Lighthouse Keepers, and they are basically it's basically a gentleman with his van that drives handicapped people, a group of 8 of them more or less. He drives them to places that they need to go. So we basically gave him money to basically keep on going, with what he's doing. And the other 2 organizations one was a children's home in Thailand. We basically they bought some. I forgot that. I have the picture. Some big container so when some containers so they can make soy milk out of it. So I think this somehow matches the soy. I'm sorry, I don't know the right word in English, but basically they could use the money for, you know, $500 in Thailand goes a long ways. You know, I was surprised, and how little, you know, they really need to do so many great things. And then the remaining part went to school in Chile. It's for children with mental challenges or discapacities, you know, and that was also very touching because I had the opportunity to hand the money myself, and so I visited the school, visited the kids, and so at the end of the day, one thinks one is doing a favor, you know. One thinks that one is doing charity to others, but I realized that it's more. It's so much that we are getting back by doing this. So much I learned. Yeah, that's what I will tell people if they want to join. It's not about you, what you can get, what you can give. It's about what you can get from giving.
Wow. I think that it's really noteworthy that someone who is not from Korea has made Korea his home. You've married a Korean musical actress. You now have your own family, a daughter who just turned 1 the other day, and you're building your roots here, it seems, for the time being. How much longer do you anticipate being here in Korea, and what are some other projects that you'd like to be involved in?
I see. Well, how much longer is very. I think you can ask me the question in a few years. I'll tell you maybe the same answer. So I'll probably say, well, a few more years, you know, 3 or 4. And then maybe 3 or 4 years go by, and I'll probably say about 3 or 4 more. So then that's how we end up with, like, some of my friends I come to meet here in Korea who are here for 15, 16, 18 years. So in a way that makes me be aware that I have to, the time goes by more quickly than I think. And therefore that I have to be more honest with myself. And honestly speaking, I would like to be here at least long enough so I can see how the seed of all the work that I'm doing, that I'm involved with, it flourishes to the point in which I can go and it can stay, so somebody else can maybe take it up. And personally, I have a deadline of about, by the time I'm 40, I would like to be home. And
in Chile.
In Chile. And this goes more to say with the fact that I want to be there for my family. And I missed on all the major processes in my families, the death of my grandmothers, you know, my brothers graduating, working, almost everything that's happened there, I missed out of it. So I want to be there by the time my parents will be getting older, you know, so the roles will invert. I'll start taking care of them.
Yes.
That is not so much what they need out of me, it's more like what I need from it. You know, I want to catch up with that.
Raul, it's been such a pleasure talking to you and finding out a lot about who you are and what makes your work as a percussionist so special, as well as just the spirit of creativity and of giving that you have. You're not simply just a musician, but someone who really wants to push the boundaries of your own musical kind of lines, and by creating Chico and by performing for, you know, any number of different people here in Korea that really appreciate your work. I really wish you all the best with Art of Giving, and I can't wait to see all the new things that you'll come up with in the future.
Thank you.
And I really hope that everything goes well with you.
Thank you. Maybe we can get you involved in some of them. Who knows?
Hey, yes, I'd love to.
We need all the help we can.
Absolutely. Definitely. Well, thank you again so much, and I look forward to hearing more about your awesome stuff and join together with you.
Thank you.
It was awesome. Thank you.